Hi guys, we're going to take a look at three things that we weren't able to cover during the lab last week that we need for the lab challenge for this week. Those three things are the saved instance states, getting the slider up and running, and error handling. Let's get right into it. The saved instance state works is we make keys that are attached to what we need to store so that we can use those keys to uniquely identify those things, and we can either save them back or we can call them whenever we need them. For example, would be here I've made a private static string called assignment, or rather this is called a string called assignment, and here the key I'm using is, or the string I assigned to it rather, is called assignment. And what happens is over here I have a variable called assign, where I do all my calculation for the marks that the input I'm getting from the user. Right, so to be able to store this information so that when I rotate the screen or when I close the app and open it again, it starts from where it stops, we're going to use the two callback methods that have been provided for us for that, which is unsaved instance and unrestored instance. So what I want to do is when this callback method is called, which is before the app gets destroyed, is we're going to call out state, and then we're going to put but we need to put, so you can see if you put use that word put, you can put a lot of things. You can put a boolean, you can put a character, a string, but what we want to do is that we want to put a double inside, because that's what that assigned variable is. So, and you can see here, let me go back a little bit. If I say put double, you can see it shows string key and double variable. So it tells you what you need to put inside that. So the key we want to use, which is the key we assigned up in here, is the key for assignment. So if we go there, and all we need to do is come here and put in that key, so assignment, and then the variable we're looking for is the variable here called assign, and we can put that here. And basically all we've done now is that we've saved this variable, so every single time that before the app gets destroyed, this gets called and this gets saved. And then to put it back in every time we load the app, so when the app gets restored, all we need to do is load the variable back into, or whatever has been stored into that variable. So what we do is we go assign equals to saved instance state dot get. So we're trying to get what we saved, and for us, we know we saved a double, so we're going to get double, and all we need to do is get the key that we used to save it, and for us the key we used was assignment. And what this does is every single time you run the app, um, after you've closed it, or after it paused or something, what happened is that the variable here gets assigned with whatever has been saved inside. So let's run it. Let's run this and see how it looks. Okay, so to test if this is working, what I've done is we've put a toast message to see on the restore state what is actually being assigned back into the variable assigned. So what I did was toast make text, and I'm changing the value of assigned to string, because when you're making a toast, it always has to be a string. And so this is the app running, and over here we're going to let's say we had 50% of this. Okay, and then we're going to rotate the screen, which is going to destroy it and make it again. And you can see that 50 is actually being stored and being restored back into it, into the application. So that's how to get the saved instance and the states up and running. So to get the slider running, it's going to be like every other thing that we've done. So the slider is a view. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the view, the sick bar. So there are three things we're actually doing. So we have, let's take a look at the way it's designed first of all. So we have this text view over here, or this edit text view there, and what happens is based on what position the slider is, we want to reflect that value here, right? So there are three things we're monitoring. So actually two things: the slider and this. So if we go back into our code, we're gonna have a variable to know what the slider at the exact value what the slider is at any point in time, and then the sig bar, which is what we're actually sliding from left to right, and then the edit text, which displays the value of what this the slider or where the sig bar is at a particular point in time. All right, so these are the three things we're going to we're going to be focused on. So like every other object we make, we have to link the stick bar to the UML or to the activity itself. So what we're doing here is the object we made called stick bar, we're finding the view by ID, and then we're setting a on change listener. So set on stick bar change listener. And what this does is basically it's like the on click listener or the other any other listener that just lets us know when an event or the state of the sig bar has changed, and then we do our calculations based on that. What we know is we want to, for the sig bar, we want to implement a listener such that in a way that when we slide the listener, we want to change the values on the text view we have, which is on this here. So when we slide this, we want this to change. So we know of some sort we need like a listener or something. And another one good way to kind of that shows or helps us to know how to implement this is the developer site for Android. So if we go to developer.android.com/references, right? So what we're going to type in here is we're going to type in sig bar. Sorry, sig bar. And we know that we want to implement like a change listener or a listener of some sort, and this is the closest thing we can see. So we're gonna click on that, and so we can see it has three methods: the progress change, the start tracking, and the stop tracking. And then if we take a look again, we can see those the methods are kind of defined. And here it says the progress level has changed. A notification that the progress level has changed, which is most likely what we want. So let's go back in here to our code, and we see, so when we do this, we need to implement all those methods again, because although we're making our own class, it's an object which is getting all its properties from another class too, right? So we can add our own methods to here, but we have to also implement the methods from this class. So now we've done that. So what we really want to focus on is on the progress change. So what we want to do is we want to set this exam value to whatever the sig bar is. So we can see we went sig bar dot get progress. So what that does is it's an inbuilt method, and it converts wherever the sig bar is to based on how long it is to a number, and it's been set into the exam val. And then what happens is I'm sending that into the log just for me to see, and then we update the exam, and then we update the standard. And so what the update exam method does is it just goes into what we've made in here. So the exam mark edit text, and it sets the text to the exam value. And so how that works basically is I'm gonna change this back to normal, and it running is as we move this, the edit text value changes and it updates itself. So that's how to set up and link the slider to the edit text or the text view you have here. Depends on how you decided to design it. So last but not least is error handling. And how this works is we have the edit text view, which is this, and everything that is being passed in is being passed in as a string. So if we pass in something and the conversion from the string to the double fails, we want to catch that instead of the app crashing or something, we want it to just act like it's zero or nothing. So how this works is, so we go into the onTextChange, which is the a method, which is part of the inbuilt method from implementing the listener for the edit text. And what we do is this assign edit text is an object that was linked to the edit text. They assign edit text in the UML in the XML. Sorry. So what happens is we want to check if it's focused. So that's if you're actually clicked on it. And then what we want to do is we want to try convert that whatever the input is at that point in time into a double and put it into assignment, right? So into assign, sorry. And so we try to do that, and if it's successful, we do that, and then we're never going to catch. But this catch runs if we try to put in characters or things that don't work. Like, when you go backspace, it's a character, but and it cannot do that. That's why if you actually the app we made in class, if you press backspace a lot, you notice it crashes. So what this does is that instead of it crashing, it catches that error and then it sets it to zero, and then it just works normally like it should. So basically for the participation, edit text, and every other thing, this is the way you would you would you would check for errors. You would check if it's focused, and then you try to convert whatever is put in into a double, and if that's unsuccessful, and then you just set it to zero, and that way you catch the error, and instead of letting the app crash and not allowing the user experience to be good for whoever is using it. So I think I've covered everything we need to be able to accomplish the lab challenge for this week. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email and I would respond to you as soon as possible. Thanks.